We're sitting down with Sandy Chilewich today. As the name might hint at, she's the owner and founder of Chilewich.
I think for this business, which is really my current passion, has been for the last 12 years, it's really not about material initially as much as it is about processes. Finding manufacturing processes or discovering them when I feel that they're underutilized. I can imagine that with some tweaking, different yarn, adjusting the machinery, that it could be completely different. Some products that are made that are meant to be industrial and almost invisible, I feel things can be done, which I've done, to actually make them very visible. Well, some things are very obvious to me. I'll look at an end product and I don't necessarily just look at the design. I look deeper on, when I'm looking at it and see that there's something beautiful in the process. The most obvious example of that in what I've done in the last number of years is a collection that we call pressed vinyl. And the process that makes that makes a product that is really, really pretty ugly, very cheap looking, and it's definitely meant to look like imitation lace. And it took me a while when I had this kind of unattractive product kind of sitting in my studio for a long time to like look at it and realize, oh my God, this process, if we can change the design, change the surface a little bit, it's basically using a mold. Um, it could become completely different. And seriously, if you would compare visually what this process normally makes and what we did with it, you would not believe that it's the same process that makes it. So sometimes that's very obvious, and then sometimes it is about experimenting, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. I take a lot of different processes and I experiment, get samples, prototypes, play. I go to the factory and play. And sometimes it pans out, and sometimes in the end, it really doesn't look that special. So it's a combination of seeing it right up front, and then the other part of experimenting and then finding something. Things don't work out, not necessarily because they don't look good, but because they don't command the price point that it would have to be. And that's a huge part of the design process when you're not making art and making just two pieces. But when you're making a volume of products and you want to reach a wide audience, then how much it's going to sell for is a key part of the equation. I am not someone that designed something just to be beautiful. To me, it's very easy to make something beautiful, to make something that's functional, accessibly priced, not necessarily to everyone, but to a large portion of people, without diluting the design sensibility. To get those three factors to work together, that's what makes a design business successful. The success of any business really rests first and foremost on whatever product it is that you're offering. I mean, it really does have to meet all those criteria. It has to meet the price point criteria as well as the aesthetic criteria. Getting those two things really aligned is an ongoing process. And the only way to know if something will sell is not whether the store buys it or the website buys it, but whether the ultimate customer who that intermediary is selling to is going to buy it. And you only learn that from testing it and seeing if it actually works. I mean, we certainly have produced products that did not sell, and either the aesthetic was wrong for the audience that we were trying to communicate to, or it was overly priced, or the quality wasn't good. There's a reason, and you have to be willing as a designer and as a design company to not fall in love with your own product to the point where you can't see to really to see the reality of whether or not somebody wants to buy that product. So you have to have a lot of stamina and a lot of willingness to, reflect, take feedback, adjust, and grow.
You were just listening to the first part of the Sandy Chilewich interview. Stay tuned to the blog for the second part, as well as check out all of our interviews with designers.